The Seventh Tower by Garth Nix. Book 6. The Violet Keystone. Chapter 7. Stones screeched and the door shuddered. For a terrible moment, Milla thought it was going to explode inward, but then it stilled. The wave had rebounded again.
"Quick! Quicker! Quickest!"
said Ebbitt as he dashed down the line of ice carls.
"We must away!"
He led them down a corridor, past 4 dead or unconscious chosen, to a T-junction where Audrys was busy prying loose stones out of the end of the corridor and piling them against a door. Ebbitt went to the seemingly solid wall opposite the door and pressed carefully in several places. Nothing happened. He looked puzzled for a moment, then pressed in entirely different places. He was answered by a deep rumble under the floor. The wall pivoted in place to reveal a narrow entry and a flight of stairs leading down.
"The outway! Go, help Audrys!"
cried Ebbitt, going over to pry out a stone himself from where Audrys had begun to demolish the wall. The stone was bigger than he expected, came out suddenly, and fell on the floor, narrowly missing his feet. As the stone rolled to a stop, a spot of blue light suddenly appeared on the door, smoke curling up from it. The light began to fizz and spit wood chips, steadily cutting through and down the door. Someone was breaking in from the other side. "More stones!" boomed Audrys. The ice carls rushed to help her, forming a chain to pass on the stones that the stronger spirit shadow pulled out of the wall. In a few minutes, the door was buried beneath a cairn of stones. Blue light still flashed up through the gaps, but even after the chosen cut through the door, the piled up stones would delay them for a little while.
"Down with the established order,"
said Ebbitt.
"Hurry! I shall shut the gate."
Though Salson tried to get in front of her, Milla led the way down the steps. Not because she didn't trust Ebbitt, but if it was some sort of trap, she at least had the talent to deal with it. The stair led down to a very damp, wet room with walls that wept beads of water. Algae was slowly dying all around, making it clear that the whole place had been submerged until very recently. Milla heard the wall grind shut above them as the last of her ice carls entered the room. Shortly after, Ebbitt appeared. He pressed several stones on the floor in a particular combination, which made a section of the wall slide across to block the stairway behind them. "There's another way out, isn't there?" asked Milla as Ebbitt took off his saucepan helmet and wiped his brow with a patchwork handkerchief that he pulled out from under his shoulder plate.
"Out? Out? We've only just got here," replied Ebbitt. "Of course there's another way out. We'll have to hope that no one else knows how to control the surge system, though."
Milla looked around at the algae and the dripping water and sighed. It was good to have gotten away from the violet wave and the chosen, but she was still cut off from the rest of her forces. She felt the frustration of it deep inside every muscle. She wanted to run and shout and attack the enemy, but that was not wise. "Malin, see if you can reach the crones," she ordered. "We will rest here for a little while." "We thank you for your rescue," Milla said formally to Ebbitt and the chosen woman.
"I haven't seen anything like that wave since Merker's day,"
said Ebbitt thoughtfully. "Then you've never seen anything like it, because you aren't that old, Uncle," said the woman. With the help of her spirit shadow, she stood up and looked at the assembled ice carls. Her eyes fell on Salson. "Are you Milla?" Milla looked back and drew herself up on her toes a bit. The chosen woman was quite a bit taller. She looked much more shaken by her efforts to control the violet wave than Ebbitt. Her skin was very pale, and her spirit shadow was surreptitiously helping her stand up. "I am Salson, Shield Mother. That is Milla Tallenhand, Ward Chief of the Ice Carls," pronounced Salson as she pointed at Milla. "Who are you?" "I am Grail Peril Kessel," answered the chosen. She seemed a bit surprised by Milla's age and Salson's announcement. "Tal's mother."
"Tal's mother!" exclaimed Milla. "But he said you were sick, likely to die."
"I was poisoned," said Grail. "Tal brought me the antidote."
"Tal is here?" asked Milla. "That is good. Why is he not with you?"
"He was captured when he came to me," Grail explained. "Ebbitt says he has been taken to the Hall of Nightmares. The Codex told him." Milla frowned. Her first priority was to rejoin her forces and find out where the main host was. But Tal in the Hall of Nightmares? For all his failings, she did not want him to be killed, or end up like Benham, wandering inside his own head forever.
Tal must be rescued, though I cannot see yet how it can be done, pronounced Milla.
Ebbitt told me that, Grail said. When did you speak to the Codex? Interrupted Malin.
Quite recently. The Codex also told me that Sushin has Tal's sunstone,
said Ebbitt. For once, his voice didn't quaver, and he didn't sound half crazy, though his fingers were beating on his crystal breastplate in a nervous way.
Half of the violet keystone, the Codex said. I didn't believe the thing, for I had split that stone myself. But then I saw the violet wave, and I'm guessing that was your work, Milla Thingamy-Hand, so maybe it is true.
I did make the wave, said Milla.
May I see your sunstone?
Asked Ebbitt. Silently, Milla raised her hand to show her ring. Her sunstone shone there as usual, a deep yellow shot through with red sparks. Ebbitt raised his own sunstone and shot a thin ray of violet at Milla's stone. The ray hit, and Milla's sunstone exploded into vibrant violet light, flooding the whole room with its brilliance. "It is the violet keystone," exclaimed Grail. "Or a part of it." Said Ebbitt. He seemed annoyed that he hadn't realized it before. Then he slowly and creakily sank down onto one knee, his crystal armor clanking.
I suppose this makes you Empress or something.
No, it is Tal who should be Emperor when the time comes, said Grail swiftly. The candidate must be ratified by the Assembly, and Tal is a chosen and also bears a violet keystone.
Not if Sushin's stolen it,
Ebbitt grumbled.
I rather like the idea of an Ice-Carl Empress. Of course, we'll have to get rid of the old one.
Grail flinched as Ebbitt spoke this treason and looked away. Milla stared down at the old man. She was tired, and though she would not admit it, slightly in shock from the fighting they had been through. What were they going on about? "Because I have the violet keystone, I am the chosen Empress?" she asked. "But doesn't that mean that if Sushin has the other half, now the chosen will say he is the Emperor? And Tal must be rescued, whether he's Emperor or not."
"Oh, Crow's gone off to rescue Tal,"
said Ebbitt airily, waving his hand around as if it suddenly had a life of its own.
"And since Sushin is going off to destroy the Veil with his half of the violet keystone, it is hardly likely anyone will want to call him Emperor."
Milla shook her head. She felt like she wasn't hearing properly. Crow and Tal were practically sworn enemies. "You've sent Crow to rescue Tal? And who is going to stop Sushin from destroying the Veil?" Ebbitt stopped waving. He pulled his arm back and bent his hand as if he were imitating a bird for children, moving his thumb and fingers like a beak. Then his hand puppet spoke, with Ebbitt throwing and changing his voice so realistically that the Ice-Carls jumped.
"Crow feels bad about Tal, so he will do his best to save him. I think he will succeed. Who will stop Sushin? Why, Milla, of course. And Ebbitt and all the little Ice-Carls will help."
"Should we kill him?" asked Salson, frowning. This sort of madness could be contagious. "No," sighed Milla. "I fear that he is speaking the truth. We will have to stop Sushin. Only, I don't know how, or even where we should go to find him."
"The 7th tower,"
said Ebbitt, dropping his hand and speaking in his normal voice.
"The Violet Tower. Everything will come together there, for better or worse."